Alright y'all, welcome back to Combat Arms channel. So I hope all of y'all are doing pretty well out there. I know it is summer and a lot of places are still on lockdown, which kind of sucks. But you know, you can definitely make the most of it. So I think for me, the easiest way of making the most of having to stay indoors a little bit more is just making YouTube videos for y'all. So I guess it works out for me. Hopefully it works out for y'all. But as far as this video, this is about a Finnish, I guess it's like a training operation, but it's called Etelä 20. So I think I pronounced that correctly. I know a lot of y'all corrected my pronunciation of the A with the two dots over it. It sounds more like a capital A as it would in the English language. So I guess it's Etelä 20. Definitely feel free to correct me on that one. But it looks really, really interesting. I guess what the main focus of this training operation is, it's kind of like conscripts going to urban built-up areas in Finland and basically training how they would operate in an urban environment, which is really, really cool. I would say in the United States we do similar things like this, but they're normally like demonstrations. It's not actually training. It's kind of just like showing off to the general public so we can get like more funding or more support or what have you, maybe as like a recruiting tool. But actually training in popular urban places is definitely hard for the U.S. to do, just because the general public wouldn't really appreciate it. Now, I did translate the description of this video. So it looks like the training is conducted in Uusimaa and the Helsinki regions. So I guess generally southern Finland, which makes sense because you'll see a lot of the bigger cities on the littorals, so basically the coastline of the countries. You'll see a lot of bigger cities, and they're also more prone to attack from amphibious landings and special operations coming in that way. So that definitely makes sense, and it's really cool that the conscripts get to train in these regions. Again, they're very big, very popular regions, so for the public to be able to work around that is really cool. So yeah, I'm really excited to look into this. Now, again, we don't really have anything equivalent in the U.S. as far as going to like New York City and doing training like that. It wouldn't fly with the general public. So I'm very interested to see how these guys actually do it and see what kind of training they can actually get out of it. Now, before we start the video, I have been working on some merch. I've kind of been like putting up updates in the community description board on the channel, but I'm trying to design some more merch. So you can see here. Hopefully you guys can see that, but yeah, I'm designing some new merch. I got this iPad and it works really, really well as far as like digital drawing and whatnot. But this is pretty cool. I think it allows me to make some more complicated merch that's definitely more specific to the channel. Now this particular drawing is sort of a mix of my Rainbow Six Vegas gameplay that I've got going on, and just the normal gear that I would wear in real life. So I kind of melded those together, and I think it's looking pretty good so far. But I hope you guys are excited about that, just like I am excited about this video. But we'll get right into it, and again, it should be very interesting and cool to see how they work this. Hey, oh, also real quick, the official Finnish Defense Forces YouTube channel actually commented on the video about the Battlefield 2020, which was very, very cool. So if you guys are watching, definitely feel free to drop another comment in the comment section. I know a lot of the fans really appreciated that, and I definitely appreciated it. So it was very, very cool. Okay, so real quick, you can see they're showing the whole planning and preparation aspect of this, which is really cool, because when you're talking about operations, it's mainly 85 to 95% of what you're doing is going to be planning and preparation. So it's cool that the video is actually showing that. A lot of times these like videos will skim over all of that and just show all the cool stuff, but it's very important to show the planning, because especially for something that's high profile like this, where there's a lot of people potentially watching or getting involved, you want to make sure you're doing it as well as you can. And it's cool, you can see he's got his radio getting put on, so they're doing like their equipment checks and whatnot. I'm not sure exactly what kind of radio that is. It looks similar to our PRC 150 or maybe like a 117. So yeah, it's cool to see what sort of equipment they're actually implementing, because again, with different operations you're going to require different equipment. So you can see they're also putting up a tall radio. I think the US equivalent would be our OE 254. So it's cool to actually see like the whole planning and preparation and communications stuff that would be happening in the background. Nice. That's a cool drone. So I'm not sure what exactly is happening. I'm not sure. So I'm not sure exactly what is happening in this clip as far as like the whole scenario and whatnot. So it looks like they have a bunch of people posted around. So I'm not sure if they're trying to cordon off a certain area or if they're just there to protect a certain area or they're doing checks. It looks like right now he's doing like vehicle checks. Now they might just be part of the scenario. I'm not sure if they'd be checking, you know, like IDs and whatnots for normal civilians that aren't a part of the scenario. But if you guys could provide some context, definitely let me know. And if you're a part of this, definitely feel free to share your experience in the comment section because it'd be pretty cool. I know this video is about a month old, so maybe some of y'all actually took part of it, and that'd be pretty interesting to hear about. And we can also see they were utilizing a drone or like a UAS system, unmanned aerial system, which is very awesome when you're talking about urban environments. You want to have that ISR or that intelligence, surveillance, reconnaissance assets to be able to, you know, go overhead and give you like a 360 picture of everything that's going on. Because with like a city or an urban environment, you have all these different levels. There's so much depth that you're not necessarily aware of just from being on ground level and looking at everything. So it's really awesome that they're actually utilizing that drone to get a bigger picture of what's going on. I'm about to assault something. Okay, so before we start talking about the whole house aspect of everything, it's cool that they're using like their armored personnel carrier to actually move them up near the building. Now, I can say I haven't really practiced anything like that, but it's cool to see them moving up because it's very quick. It provides a lot of protection and cover to the people who are actually going to assault the building. And yeah, again, I haven't really practiced this myself, but if you can utilize that, it's a very good way to do it because they can just dismount and head straight in. You can have other people pulling security on the building or even the vehicles themselves or other vehicles to actually pull security. So that's a pretty interesting way of they're actually doing that. I'm not exactly sure what kind of vehicle that is, but again, it does look very akin to like our strikers. So it's cool to see them implementing that in an urban environment. Nice. Wow, so I'm seeing a lot of violence in this video, which is really awesome. You know, when you think of like conscripts and whatnot, a lot of people think of people who, you know, really aren't in the mindset, but these guys look like they're doing a pretty awesome job of maintaining that violence and using that to actually clear the enclosure out. Now, there was one person they were like spraying something. I'm not exactly sure what they were spraying. So you can see right here, if that's like a pepper spray, maybe they were using that to get like someone out of the room. I have no idea what that is. I know we use pepper spray, or not pepper spray, we use spray paint to like mark the doors to make sure that they were clear and everybody behind them knew that that room was clear. But I'm not sure what he's doing. It looks like he's employing some sort of chemical agent to I don't know, maybe like a non-lethal agent to get the person down. But if y'all could provide some insight as to what that is, I'd definitely love to hear it because right now I've got no idea. But yeah, their violence is really awesome so far. Hell yeah. All right, I want to take a second to appreciate that nice graffiti. I don't know why. I know because growing up in New York City, looking at their graffiti does not look that good. Sometimes it looks pretty good, but that looks pretty well done. So kudos to the people who are doing graffiti on your walls. It's just something I noticed, but yeah, their violence is really awesome. I like how they implement the machine guns when they're actually clearing out the houses. Now, we sort of played around with doing stuff like that in the U.S. military, like the Marines and the Army, but I haven't seen anyone actually use it effectively, and it can definitely be used effectively in a CQB environment. You know, if you have enough ventilation to where it's not just getting super smoky and you can't see anything, you can use a machine gun pretty well. And also, so you need to make sure you're not raining brass or the spent cartridges onto your buddies. But yeah, you can definitely be very violent with a machine gun, and the people inside the room are definitely gonna, you know, put their heads down. So it's cool to see them implementing it like that. I know a lot of y'all have been sending me videos of people doing room clearing like that, and at first I was a little bit questionable. I was like, that's kind of weird. But yeah, I mean, thinking of me being inside the room and someone turning around the corner shooting like a 7.62 machine gun or something at me like that, I'm gonna get my head down for sure. Okay, a little less urban now. So I really like how they're implementing the forest here now. You know, because when you're thinking about like taking down a city or you know, there's like a weird hostage situation, if there is a bad guy, a lot of times they will, you know, use like forests or any sort of concealment to get out of there. Because if they're in the city, then there's a lot of eyes on them. There's a lot of cameras and whatnot. So a lot of times if they're trying to get out quickly or maybe get to like a river or something to egress there, they're going to have to go through a forest or a wooden environment. So it's cool that they're actually implementing that in with their urban training. And it is a completely different mindset to wrap your mind around, because instead of, you know, doing room clearing, now you're in a forest and you're using more conventional infantry tactics. Because when you think of infantry training, a lot of times it's just getting online, assaulting an objective, and to implement that with urban training is pretty cool. And I'm not sure if they knew what they were doing, if they were actually going to be going from urban to forest. But, you know, if you're doing that on the spot and you're like, okay, hey, I know you're in this building, but we need you to respond to this park or this forest or what have you, it definitely takes a lot to wrap your mind around, okay, I need to focus more on other conventional infantry tactics as opposed to just clearing out a city and dealing with hostages and whatnot. You know, you're not going to want to send the police to try and get a bad guy who's in a forest if the bad guy has way better equipment than they do and they're going to be outgunned. So it definitely makes sense to implement this into their training. That dude had a camera. Hell yeah. I'm not sure what symbol this is. Fiddle. Oh, okay. You guys have like your own symbol for your combat camera? That's pretty cool. But yeah, I gotta say, your guys' combat camera does a very awesome job of not only capturing everything, but also it looks like they're implementing themselves into the training as well. It looked like that dude had a camera at least, but yeah, it's very cool to see how you guys actually work all of that, because I know our combat camera in the Marines generally got made fun of because they had no idea what was going on, and they would do interviews with the people who did the training, and they just had no idea what to ask. They didn't really know exactly what was going on or why the training was being conducted. So it seems like your combat camera has a better idea of what's actually going on and actually, you know, immersing themselves into it. So kudos to you guys for actually getting that done. And your production team seems like it does a pretty good job too, so kudos to that one. But this video is really cool. Again, it's really cool to see the urban and forest dynamic actually working together. You know, with us in the Marines and in the Army, you're using a forest for concealment sometimes when you're attacking a village, which is, you know, it can be realistic. but it's also realistic to fight in an urban environment and then need to go to something that's less urban. So it's cool to actually implement those together, because again, you do need to wrap your mind around, the different tactics and the different, techniques and formations you would actually use to take those both down. But I've never done a training where I've cleared out or assaulted an objective in a forest and also cleared out a city. Completely different. And again, it's cool how y'all are implementing your armored vehicles into the mix, because that's going to be very useful for a wooded environment, as far as making sure you have a fire superiority with your machine guns and the mobility of actually moving people around the forest. And also in urban terrain, it just provides a lot more cover, and you don't necessarily need the concealment, or you don't need to be sneaky when the whole area is cordoned off and there's going to be people coming for you. At that point, you just want a little more protection to make sure you can actually get to the building without getting lit up or something. So it is cool to see that, and the violence in this video was very awesome. Again, I do think it's mostly conscripts in this video, if not all conscripts. If you guys could provide some insight, definitely put that in the comments section. But it's really cool to see that violence coming into play. And again, those machine guns would definitely do work in an urban environment. Again, as long as you can actually see and there's not too much smoke or what have you, you're probably going to get a lot of lead and whatnot in your lungs. But I'd rather have lead dust in my lungs that might affect me like 50 years down the road than getting lead rounds put into me. So it is a trade-off. But the machine guns were definitely doing work, and I can appreciate that a little bit more about using machine guns in an urban environment like that. So it's cool how y'all are doing that and sort of changing up the dynamic. But yeah, if you guys did take part and you have some experiences to share with this Etelä 20, again, I don't know if I said that correctly, but if you have any experiences with this or any similar training, definitely let me know. And I know a lot of y'all have been sending me the clips of y'all using machine guns and whatnot to clear out buildings. It's very cool to see that kind of stuff, and I appreciate you guys sending that over to me. I've done a bunch of cross training with different militaries, but again, you don't really get a huge appreciation for what's actually going on, because a lot of times when I would train with different militaries from different countries, we would just implement them into our training and just generally show them how we would do it. So it's cool to get a good appreciation for how other people would do it, because if I was like the opposing force for some Finns and they came around and started lighting me up with a machine gun, I would get a pretty good appreciation for how effective that machine gun can actually be in an urban environment. Because again, that's not something that I would think to do myself. But yeah, very cool to see y'all implementing these different things, and very cool to see how the training can be changed up. And I really do like how you guys are able to do this in like major cities and do training like that in major cities, because again, a lot of times the U.S. population wouldn't really appreciate that too much if they saw the military doing a bunch of weird stuff and training in their hometowns and whatnot. But for the combat camera over in the Finnish Defense Forces, keep doing what you're doing, because y'all are doing an awesome job, and I do appreciate it, because I can react to your videos and you're cool with me reacting to your videos, and I do appreciate that. And when you comment in my comment section, that's also really cool, because it provides a level of support that I wouldn't see from other channels. A lot of times people will get a little bit upset when you're reacting to their videos, but it's cool that you guys are cool about it, and it's cool that you're also willing to support the channel. So definitely keep that coming, and definitely keep those recommendations coming, y'all, because I do appreciate it. It's always cool to see what you want me to check out and actually going through and recording a video for y'all. So I do appreciate it. Again, I hope you guys enjoyed it. But that is it for this video, so I will see y'all in the next one.